Welcome back to Real Talk, everyone. Today we've got Ava joining us. She's a resilience coach, but more than that, she's incredibly open about her own experiences. Ava, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. It's good to be chatting about this. Honestly, it's a topic that's always felt a little heavy, but incredibly important to talk about.
Let's dive right in. You specialize in resilience, but I know you've had some deeply personal experiences shaping that work. Could you talk a little bit about a hard lesson you learned too late?
Absolutely. It's about trust, specifically romantic trust. I was incredibly naive in my early 20s. I fell hard for this guy, Liam. He was charming, incredibly attentive, and he presented this perfect, almost fairy tale image.
And you just bought it?
Pretty quickly. I invested so much in the relationship, my time, my energy, my vulnerability. I convinced myself I was seeing the real him, and I ignored all the little red flags. Gaslighting, constant criticism disguised as constructive feedback, dismissing my feelings as dramatic.
That's brutal. What made you realize it was too late?
It wasn't one specific event, actually. It was a slow, insidious erosion of my self-worth. I realized I was constantly apologizing for simply existing, for having needs, for being happy. The silence around my concerns felt deliberately manufactured.
So, the realization wasn't sudden, but a gradual accumulation of negative experiences?
Exactly. By the time I truly understood the pattern, it was months of being emotionally manipulated. I was so entrenched in the narrative I created for myself that it took a huge effort to break free.
That's so common, isn't it? We build these stories around people, and it's so hard to dismantle them once we've invested so much. What was the biggest regret looking back?
Honestly, not confronting him sooner. The shame and fear of being the crazy ex kept me silent for far too long. I wasted so much energy trying to fix the situation instead of protecting myself. It taught me the brutal importance of boundaries and recognizing your own intuition.
It sounds like a really painful lesson and a really valuable one. It's easy to get caught up in the intensity of a new connection.
Absolutely. And it's a lesson that's echoed in so many relationships, not just romantic ones. It's about learning to recognize unhealthy dynamics before they've truly taken root. The biggest regret isn't the relationship itself, but the lost time and energy spent validating someone else's narrative.
That's a powerful point. I think many people struggle with that, with trusting their gut feelings.
It's terrifying admitting something might be wrong. But ignoring your intuition is often the biggest mistake you can make. It's about self-respect, really. You deserve to be in a relationship where you feel valued and respected.
Fantastic advice, Ava. It's really resonated. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about strategies for recognizing and setting those boundaries.
Actually, yeah, I have. It's like when you're in your 20s and you think you know it all. Then suddenly, bam, life throws you a curveball.
Exactly. And for me, it was a business decision. I took a risk on an investment that ended up losing everything. I was left with nothing but debt and regret.
Ugh, that sounds brutal. What made you think the investment would be a good idea? Was there something specific that led you to make that choice?
Honestly, it was just impulsive. I got caught up in the excitement of making a profit and didn't do my due diligence. It's like, what if? That's all I'm left with now.
That's so frustrating. Sometimes we get caught up in the moment and forget to think about the long-term consequences.
Right? And what really hit me was when I had to tell my family about what happened. They were all so supportive, but it was still hard for them to understand.
I can imagine. It's like you're trying to explain this thing that seems crazy and avoidable in hindsight. But at the time, you just didn't see it coming.
Exactly. And now, I'm left thinking about all the what-ifs. What if I'd done more research? What if I'd waited?
Well, we can only speculate on that. The important thing is that you're reflecting on your mistake and trying to learn from it.
Yeah, I am. And I think that's the key. Recognizing when you've made a mistake and taking steps to fix it. It's not always easy, but it's better than just letting it fester.
Totally agree. Life is all about growth and learning, right? Even when we mess up, We can use those experiences to become wiser and stronger people.
That's a great way to put it. I feel like I'm starting to see that now. Even though it was a hard lesson, it's one I won't forget anytime soon.
That's the beauty of hindsight, right? We can look back on our mistakes and say, oh, yeah, I should have seen that coming.
Laughs, yeah, maybe. But hey, at least I'm not alone in this experience. How about you? Have you had a hard lesson you learned too late?
Actually, yes. When I was younger, I used to date someone who turned out to be toxic. It took me ages to realize that.
Wow, sorry to hear that. But I'm glad you're speaking out now and sharing your story.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones we learn from our own mistakes.